The Gospel of Mark and the other apostles, Mark 3:18 and 19.
Hello. Today we will discuss the remaining 5 apostles. In our last devotion, we discussed 7 of the apostles. Now we're going to go on into verse 18 and 19 of Mark. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot and Judas Iscariot who betrayed him. Mark 3:18 and 19. Thomas, he is one of the 12 apostles. Question: does it mention him meeting Jesus, Jesus calling him to follow him in the Bible? Nothing. The first time that he's mentioned, it is in Mark in this list that we just talked about. There's another list of apostles' names, and that is found in Matthew. The names of the 12 apostles are these: first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot who betrayed him. Matthew 10:2 through 4. Before we read this list, there is no mention of Thomas being one of the 12. There's no mention of him in Mark before chapter 3, where we talked about this list. You've heard before doubting Thomas. Well, that's talking about this Thomas. Now, he tended to question. He wanted proof. He wanted to see proof before he would believe. Jesus was patient with him. Let's continue to the next apostle, James, the son of Alphaeus. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot. Mark 3:18. We hear about this apostle James. Well, we've already heard about another James. We discussed about him being the brother of John. He was also the son of Zebedee. But now this is a James who is the son of Alphaeus. Levi, another name for Matthew, his father was also named Alphaeus. And he passed by and saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. Mark 2:14. Matthew and James both had fathers named Alphaeus, but they were not brothers. They did not have the same father. We don't know much about James, really. We do know that he was one of the disciples who was praying in the upper room after Jesus ascended to heaven. And when they had entered, they went up to the upper room where they were staying, Peter and John and James and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon the Zealot, and Judas the son of James. All these with one accord were devoting themselves to prayer, together with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and his brothers. Acts 1:13 through 14. Now let's go on to the next apostle, Thaddeus. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot. Mark 3:18. Thaddeus. Thaddeus seemed another name for Jude. Most biblical scholars believe that Thaddeus and Jude are the same person. Now, some people think that Jude is Judas Iscariot, but no, he's not. It's not the same person. Anyway, we know that Thaddeus was one of the 12 apostles. but we don't know much about him as a man. The Bible doesn't say anything until it says his name in the list. Let's continue to Simon the Zealot. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot. Mark 3:18. Simon, Simon the Zealot. He has another name, Simon the Cananean. Now, the word zealot, what's that mean? Well, in this instance, it was a person in the Jewish group who wanted to get rid of the Roman Empire and let the Jewish people take control of the politics. And that's what a zealot meant. But now, biblical scholars think that Simon the Zealot was not an insult calling him a zealot. No. A zealot can also mean a person who has great zeal for the Lord. Wow, that's a good thing about Simon. Let's go on to the next apostle, Judas Iscariot. And Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. Mark 3:19. Judas Iscariot. He was one of the 12 original apostles, yes. And he's also the one who betrayed Jesus. What did he do? He kissed him when he greeted him. That showed the Jewish leaders that's Jesus, the one to arrest. We can read about this story in Matthew 26:47 through 56. We know a lot about the brothers Peter and Andrew, the brothers James and John, Philip, and Nathaniel, also known as Bartholomew. We know a lot about Matthew and Judas Iscariot, but we don't know much about Thomas or James, the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, or Simon the Zealot. That is all of the 12 apostles. Coram Deo.
To live coram Deo is to live one's entire life in the presence of God, under the authority of God, to the glory of God. Everyday Breadcrumbs, Devotional Studies for the Deaf by Brad and Tammy Schaaf. Taught in American Sign Language by Brad and voiceover by his wife, Tammy. All verses are from English Standard Version. BradDaleSchaaf at gmail.com.